Hello again, everyone. I'm Ron Lamberty with Flex Fuel Forward, and this is the second part of our discussion with Tony Crooks and Kelly Bogle with USDA, talking about things you should be working on now while you're waiting for access to the HBIIP application website. So there are some other forms that are going to be required by the time people are done. And one of the questions that comes up is, can I go ahead and start getting my bid for the station?
It's a very good idea to start lining up contractors and other third-party service providers, installers, technology providers. We don't recommend that you start incurring expenses until you've signed the grant agreement, because you can't be reimbursed for those things.
Until you've been awarded a grant, any expenses you incur have to be after the grant is awarded.
Yes, sir.
The environmental review, that's something that while people are waiting for anything else to happen, that's something that you think people should get started on.
Right. You have until August the 13th for your application to be complete and submitted. And this will take a bit of time for some of the stations to get through with the environmental review, or maybe your terminal. It might take a little bit longer, and it's going to require the applicant to work with our state environmental or energy coordinators and our state environmental coordinators. So we recommend that while you're working on your SAMs, your DUNS number, your cage code, all that information, trying to get your e-authentication to get your application in, to get it started, we recommend that you reach out to our rural energy coordinator, and they'll work with the state environmental coordinator to determine how in depth will your environmental review need to be. And how are you going to choose which rural energy coordinator you go to? It's going to be based on where your state locations are for your sites. Now, some of these applicants, you're going to have many sites. You're going to be spread over maybe 5, 6 states. Maybe you're going to be all in one state. You're going to choose a state where the majority of the sites are located. If you can't establish a majority, then you're going to choose the location where your headquarters is located.
Okay.
Or maybe it's just a process too of maybe you've worked with a state rural energy coordinator, you know them well, maybe you want to work with them. We're open to that being a little bit fuzzy, but we would like for you to do it in the state where the majority of your sites are going to be located.
What kind of turnaround? I mean, what if you had to guess what that process, how long it takes?
Well, for the easy dispenser, just a new dispenser installation, I mean, that could be a few days. That could easily be turned around in a few days. If you've got to navigate through tribal consultations or through historic preservation consultation at the state level, it's going to take you longer. It could take you up to a month. So it's best to get started on everything right away.
To get more information and to make sure your HBIIP application isn't derailed because you're waiting for an environmental review document, watch the environmental review full discussion video on flexfuelforward.com. One of the ones that I got calls on immediately after your first webinar was the technical report, because that sounds really, technical.
If you're a single fuel station owner and you're only going to do 2 or 3 islands at the most, then the requirements for that technical report are much less than what would be for someone who's installing dispensers in 25 or 35 or 100 stations, right?
And so basically the technical report for a station owner would be very similar to probably what they take to their bank or to the equipment company to explain to them what they're going to build.
Yes, sir. And in fact, their equipment installer could help them put that technical report together and provide with most of the information that they would need.
There's an SF424D, assurances for construction programs. What's that?
So it's basically one of the easiest things that will be required from the applicant. It does, however, require them to take the form to a notary or an official of the court, and they just scan it and upload it into the application.
And I know there's a question, I think even when you're first logging on, about federal debt delinquency, where if you have a federal debt that you owe, you need to
Yes.
disclose that and then explain what it's about.
I may be wrong, but it's my belief that if any individual is delinquent on a federal loan, they're pretty much aware of that. It's not anything that you would have to discover about yourself.
Sure. You
would already know that. If there is, if you are delinquent in a debt, that doesn't exclude you from this program. All we're requiring of you, not necessarily, I mean, that doesn't exclude you necessarily, but we do require you to tell us about it. And so you would indicate yes, and then there is a place in the attachment section of the application for you to upload an explanation of that federal debt.
If you need more information, go to the USDA HBIIP website or flexfuelforward.com or use the other contact methods shown here. Thanks for following us, and we'll see you next time.